This is Patti Culea again in one of our wonderful workshops. This time we're going to be making a beautiful mermaid. This is Oceane. She is the keeper of Starfish. You can see she's got a starfish for a perch, and then of course there's the optional pin cushion with Starfish, and then we've got Starfish beads and just a lot of beautiful things. We're really excited about this workshop because of the different techniques that I'm going to be using, and we're going to really enjoy making a beautiful seagoing mermaid who loves starfish just as we do. Before I get into the workshop, I'd like to read something that Andrew found. It's a little bit of the history of mermaids, their legends, or are they legends? But anyway, let me read this to you so that you can kind of get an idea of the inspiration behind this workshop and why mermaids. This is done by, it's called Mermaids and Other Marine Monsters. It's adapted from an article by Benjamin Radford, who was writing for the Live Science. He was a contributor for them. And this was written in May 25th, 2017, so not that long ago. And this is what he says. With 70% of the earth covered by water, it's no surprise that for centuries the ocean have been believed to hide mysterious creatures like sea serpents and mermaids. Mermaids and mermen, half human, half animal creatures that live in the oceans, have been the subject of folk tales and mythology going back thousands of years, and continue to delight us in modern-day films such as Splash, and children's books and films such as The Little Mermaid, which is based loosely upon the short story fairy tale by Hans Christian Andersen from the 19th century. In folklore, mermaids and their male counterparts, mermen, were often associated with misfortune and death, luring errant sailors off course and even onto rocky shoals. In the book Moby Dick, the crew believes it is hearing the calling of sirens from the sea, which they believe is a bad omen of things to come. The reality of mermaids was assumed during medieval times, when they were depicted matter-of-factly alongside known aquatic animals such as whales. Hundreds of years ago, sailors and residents in coastal towns around the world told of encountering the sea maidens. By the 1800s, hoaxers churned out faked mermaids by the dozens to satisfy the public's interest in the creatures. The great showman P.T. Barnum displayed the Fiji Mermaid in the 1840s, and it became one of the most popular circus attractions. Those paying 50 cents hoping to see a long-limbed, fish-tailed beauty comb her hair were certainly disappointed when instead what they saw was the torso of a dead monkey attached to the lower half of a fish. To modern eyes, it was an obvious fake, but it fooled and intrigued many of the time people saw what they wanted to see. Could there be a scientific basis for the mermaid stories? Some researchers believe that sightings of human-sized ocean animals, such as manatees and dugongs, might have inspired merfolk legends. These animals have a flat mermaid-like tail and two flippers that resemble stubby arms. They don't look exactly like a typical mermaid or merman, but many sightings were from quite a distance away, and being mostly submerged in water and waves, only parts of their bodies were visible. A glimpse of a head, arm, or tail just before it dives under the waves might have spawned some mermaid reports. Mermaids may be ancient, but they are still with us in many forms. Their images can be found all around us in films, books, Disney movies, at Starbucks, and maybe even in the ocean waves if we look close enough. Where I first fell in love with mermaids was the movie Mr. Peabody and the Mermaid. It came out in 1948. I know I saw it in the theater, but I don't think I saw it in 1948. I would have only been, 5 or 6 years old. But I could have, because I loved, from then on, I can remember my sister and I always wanting to be a mermaid. Then one of my most favorite people on the planet in the 50s and 60s was Esther Williams, and especially her $1 Million Mermaid movie. I have watched this poor DVD so many times, but it's just, again, when we moved from the farm when I was 13 and moved to Florida, and we lived within walking distance of the Gulf, and my sister and I would go out in the Gulf and we would pretend to be one of either Esther Williams' mermaids or Mr. Peabody's mermaid. There's some fabulous books, and this one I just recently found, and it's full of all kinds of legends and stories and images, beautiful images. It even talks about Weeki Wachee. That's the other place my sister and I would go to when we were young teens. We'd go to Weeki Wachee and see the mermaid show. They have mermaids there. And sometimes, because Weeki Wachee is a natural spring and the water there is 99% pure, they test it every day. And you'll see the mermaids, girls dressed up as mermaids swimming underwater. And often the manatees will come in and swim with the mermaids. If you're ever in Florida, in kind of that's the Gulf side, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, you got to go to Weeki Wachee and watch the mermaid shows. It's just fabulous.
And you will hear enchanting music from a strange enchanted song. Just let the music weave its magic as you go strolling along.
Many years ago, I taught on a cruise. We did a mermaid-themed cruise. And so I made these name tags for everybody using my Audine pattern. I copied her face and made Audine into a little name tag. Then I also, again, with my mermaid theme, did a little journal that it was a couple friends of mine, we were doing a little challenge. So this is just my kind of sea theme journal. I haven't done much in it. I need to add a lot more, but I have a little mermaid as on the cover, and that's her back. Some of you know about my Stargaze Stitchery tome, and one of the pages in here is a mermaid theme, and it's got a little baby mermaid that you can actually wear as a pin if you'd like to. So this is on my Stargaze Stitchery tome with the little, all kinds of little sea things that I picked up through the years. I took a friend of mine, Cindy Malstad, was testing this fabulous pattern. This is her little chubby mermaid. This is one of my favorite dolls that I've made from somebody else's pattern. And Cindy has a unique way of making a head in that you can turn her head, but yet it stays put. Really cute trick. And of course, she's a real Little Mermaid. She's nice and chubby with all this fun little stretchy fabric and stuff. So that's kind of the history of my mermaid making and where I came from and why I love all things mermaid, anything that to do with them. So when Andrew came to me and said he'd like to do another workshop and it would be kind of a sea theme, a mermaid really struck both of us, and we decided that had to be the project. And what's different about this particular workshop is a couple things. We're adding a weighting system for her so that she will sit well. She doesn't have legs because she's a mermaid, and we talk about various shapes of tails and what you can do to embellish that tail with all kinds of organza and Angelina fiber, Angelina film, and just a lot of really fun things. She's got a little crown as well on her head because she's a princess. She's the keeper of the starfish, after all, in the sea that she lives in. And we also talk a little bit about dyeing lace, also dyeing that seam binding that is so popular right now and expensive when you buy it dyed, but I'll show you a formula so that it keeps that sheen. So after all of the embellishment, we're going to create a really fun, and I'm excited about this starfish that is her perch. And you can see how it will hold her, and so that she will sit very nicely, and it's wired so that you can manipulate it, and also has fun beading. So it's a really fun workshop. It's got a lot in it. I think you're going to enjoy it. I know you're going to enjoy it, and I'm really excited to have you join me in making Oceane and her starfish.